That actually was really beneficial. The first year that I was here when they did it, it seems like that there was a bit of a disconnect. We had a lot of new staff. Teachers didn't really understand what they were being asked. So our leadership team actually took it themselves, identified areas of concern, went over that with our staff in an all-staff meeting, and then all the staff took it. And if they had a question, we just made sure that we were really on board. We didn't lead them in their response, but we were really specific about if this is the language. They wanted to know what that meant. In a couple of the questions, it was about administrative team. And did that mean principals? Did that mean the leadership team? And so just clarifying vocabulary really helped us when we took the CNA this past time. And it helped us to identify where we were doing things, but there was lack of communication.
Thank you, Diane. And so I do know we need to revisit it again, though. So thank you for bringing that to light. It isn't a new conversation I've had, but we definitely want to address it, especially as our team forms and moving forward after this year.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
You bet. So this information is really taken up. We're going backwards to go forward, okay? And so we want to look at entrance criteria. And the reason why we felt this was important is possibly all of you really have an understanding, but my question to you, and it's not for you to answer right now, it's more of a thought-provoking, is like, do all stakeholders understand how your school district or your school came to be in comprehensive? And so this is verbiage right off of the website, but it's nice and concise here on this or on this PowerPoint that I'll share out with you, so that you have that verbiage too for your school board. Because a lot of times the misunderstanding is that we're in the bottom 5% because of our statewide testing. Well, that is somewhat true, but that is not the entirety to that. It's a formula beyond my headspace in which that ranking comes into play. But these are the pieces of that pie. So the indicators in terms of creating that formula some are federally mandated, they're out of our control, and that is, one is the academic achievement and statewide assessments, and ELA, reading and math, but then also that growth piece on statewide assessments for K-8 only. And then another piece on here, which is incredibly important, and that's why I've asked Crystal to be on here to kind of just be a resource, is that the EL piece of progress, identification and growth in all of your students that are identified as EL learners, is a piece of the federally required indicators. And then graduation rates for high school students. But then in addition to that, there's the Montana pieces that they put in place with attendance, CTE, college and career ready, and then also, which formerly was known as CRT, but now known as the Montana Science Assessment. And so all of those pieces together in terms of what ranks our students or our schools is a formula with all of these components. Crystal, was there something that you wanted to add? Schools are identified for comprehensive for being in one or more of the following criteria, that 5% and the lowest forming 5% of all title schools, or the graduation rate being less than 67%, and or consistently underperforming subgroups. And so that's what's really important. And I know while on the website, it states this next paragraph about the every 3 years, but we also know that we're in unprecedented times. So please stay tuned in terms of how and what will come of the public comment in terms of creating a waiver and moving forward. I'm kind of excited about that, actually. That there is that possibility, you know, those that are moving in that right trajectory have that opportunity possibly to exit after this next year if we're able to use the 2021 school data. But more to come on. So these next slides, some of you have seen them in years this last year as I have visited schools, but I just, again, this is a place to put it. I wanted to show you where all anybody in the public can see your report card. And so I just put the slides in here showing you exactly how to get there from the OPI website. But please know that what we see on the public site might be a little bit different, because anything with an N size less than 10, it definitely will not show up here for student privacy. So just keep that in mind. So when you go to the OPI website, you hit leadership. My arrow isn't working. Every Student Succeeds Act, right there under academic success. You'll hit the ESSA report card. Click on your year, the 2017-18 school year. And make sure that you not only select your school, it won't, and then also to hit, sorry, it's underneath my review report. And then your report should look something like this as it comes up. What you will see, and I just like this all together, is this is where I actually, you can see my cursor. When I clicked on comprehensive school support, when you click on that, it gives you all of the verbiage that I just shared with you, just kind of piled it together. And right here, it will actually state what your school is in. Is it targeted? Is it comprehensive? Are you in universal support? I just wanted to point out that if you scroll down, you're going to get some of this information. And again, it's fuzzy, but we aren't really doing anything with this for today. It's just I wanted you to see it and then also be able to expand. If you hit this down here, you're going to get even more information. Again, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but when we talk about all stakeholders, really understanding where we are at as a district, this is great information for them to go in and look at. And so that's what your page should look like. Again, you should be able to expand again and be able to get into subgroups. Just wanted you to show, I just wanted you to see everything that was on here. And then again, to keep in mind that it might not show everything if your N size are less than 10 in subgroup areas. So also in our ESSA plan, moving forward, it talks about how we are supporting schools. And it states in there that we're building community capacity and supporting kindergarten transitions. I don't need to read all of this, but I am going to make some statements here. So that's why I brought this up. You know, it talks about supporting school boards with having a coach, which we have available, providing wraparound services when we're talking about mental and physical issues, and then also that youth voice and advocacy and supporting cultural responsive practices, particularly American Indian communities. And then the last two, I feel like, is where we spent a lot of our time in terms of providing and implementing systemic literacy and math improvements, and through instructional personnel, all of that. And then we started on a great trajectory with Montana Early Warning System, and that is still under work right now because the people that were there are no longer at OPI, but we have people in place. And the reason why I bring this all up is because we want to, while I know as an agency we have provided information and trainings on being trauma informed and moving in maybe conscious discipline, MBI, we are just wanting to open up the doors with our comprehensive schools to state, especially if you feel like you have sustained practices in your literacy and math, to continue those practices. But then is there an opportunity for you to spend more time on maybe youth voice and culture responsive practices? And so we'll be talking more about that. So in order for us to move forward, and why we felt that this was really important for all of our schools to hear, is to understand the exiting criteria as it is currently in our ESSA plan. It's kind of like having that backwards design. So right from the get-go, I just want to apologize because this isn't something that we've actually brought to light. When Crystal and I have been in this for a couple of years, is that this last year was really kind of an enlightening opportunity for us to look at the exit criteria, and why wouldn't our schools want to know this as well? So the first criteria that is listed under our ESSA plan is to no longer be in the lowest performing 5%, as indicated by the measures that are listed below, with the achievement and the growth, the EL learner progress, graduation rates, depending if you're K-8 or if you're high school. And then in addition to that, also the indicator of attendance, college career ready, and then your science assessment. And so that is the first criteria.